Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're doing something a bit different. We're zoning in on just one incredibly detailed source. It's a medical professional's own account of her probable near-death experiences.
Yeah, and the idea here is to give you, our listener, a really immediate kind of deep understanding of just how complex this phenomenon can be using just this one powerful case.
Exactly. So who is this source?
Okay, so this account comes from Dr. Martina F., and she's an anesthetist, also an intensive care doctor, very credible. She describes two separate syncopes, that's losses of consciousness that happened only about a month apart.
Wow. Okay.
And both were triggered by the exact same very serious cardiac condition, ventricular tachycardia. So what we really want to dissect for you today is the profound, almost unbelievable difference between those two collapses.
And what that contrast tells us about NDEs, right? Especially in a verifiable sort of clinical setting.
Precisely.
Okay, let's get into it then. So the first event, pretty distressing, as you said. But the second was described as what? A state of indescribable peace.
That's right. A complete turnaround.
And we're going to look at how her implanted defibrillator actually confirmed what was happening physically. And this is the part that gets me, why she was actually annoyed at the person who woke her up from that peaceful state.
It's quite a story. It really forces us, I think, to look beyond the typical white light stories and accept that, well, physiological collapse can lead to chaos and profound order.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning. June 22nd, 2018. Dr. F is out jogging.
Yeah, just a normal day, seemingly. Then she feels suddenly busy. And being a doctor, she has this immediate thought, if I'm not lying down, I will fall down.
That clinical assessment right there. So she collapses. Quick.
And after some period of time, she doesn't know exactly how long she starts to come to, but it's not quiet. She hears this peculiar noise.
The tape recorder thing.
Yes, exactly. Like an audio tape running way too fast. But the really chilling part is she somehow knew, that the noise was entirely inside her.
Oof. Yeah. That immediately challenges the usual NDE narrative, doesn't it? No light, just darkness and this weird internal chaos.
Absolutely. And when she fully regained consciousness, the scene was grim. Physical trauma. She was lying in blood. She'd broken her nose when she fell.
So this first event, classified as a probable NDE, but the elements are, well, they're different.
Very different. She specifically said her consciousness and alertness felt less than normal. Darkness, not heightened awareness.
But her hearing, that was sharpened, focused on that noise.
Exactly. That was the one unusual sensory thing. Her hearing was clearly sharpened, focused entirely on that internal sound. It's a fascinating detail suggesting consciousness, even when narrowed or diminished overall, can hyperfocus on certain things.
Even while the body's in crisis.
Okay. And, crucially, this first traumatic event led to the diagnosis ventricular tachycardia, and that led to her getting an implanted defibrillator.
Right. And that medical device becomes key for understanding the next episode, doesn't it?
It does. It gives us that clinical anchor for what happened next, which was, as we'll see, just radically different.
Okay, so fast forward just over a month, July 31st, 2018.
Yeah, and the context is important here. She's been released from the hospital. She's actually out biking, and she described feeling free and happy, a sense of relief, maybe.
Must have been. But then, that familiar dizziness strikes again.
She hears her brakes, she said. And then, just blankness. Everything goes out.
But this time, this is where it completely flips, right?
Completely. She described waking up, not back in her body immediately, but waking up to a place where everything was pleasant, joyful, beautiful.
Yeah.
The emotions she described were just incredible. Peace, pleasantness, joy, and this sense of harmony or unity with everything. She was very clear. She did not want to leave this place.
That's amazing. And then someone tries to wake her up.
Right. An undefined amount of time passes in this state, and then a first responder is there trying to rouse her, trying to bring her back.
And she's annoyed.
Yes. She described being quite annoyed at this person. Think about that. You're potentially dying, someone is saving your life, and your overwhelming feeling is annoyance because they're interrupting this profound experience.
It suggests she really felt she'd arrived somewhere, right? Like she was being pulled back against her will.
Exactly, like reaching a boundary or a destination she wasn't supposed to leave yet. That sense of interruption is really powerful in her account.
And the defibrillator.
Ah, yes, the clinical proof. She said she abruptly got back into her body, realized immediately she'd had another arrhythmia, and confirmed later that her implanted defibrillator had fired. It shocked her heart back into rhythm. Saved her life.
Again. So we have subjective experience backed by objective medical data. Two events, same cause, totally different experiences.
Which really makes you look at the standard checklist of NDE elements, doesn't it? How does her second peaceful experience stack up?
Okay, let's do that. For you listening, let's tick the boxes based on her account. Did she feel separated from her body? An out-of-body experience or OBE?
Yes, she did confirm losing awareness of her physical body during that peaceful state.
Okay. Were her thoughts speeded up?
She described them as incredibly fast. Yes.
Senses more vivid than usual?
Also, yes, but with a nuance. Remember the first time it was sharpened hearing. This time she said her sight was somewhat narrowed, but intensely focused on the pleasant surroundings. So vividness, yes, but maybe specific.
Interesting variation even within her own experiences.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, now, what was missing? This seems crucial given how NDEs are often portrayed.
Right. This is where it's just really interesting, because despite that profound peace and joy, a lot of the classic elements were just not there.
Like the tunnel.
No tunnel. She didn't report passing through a tunnel at all.
Seeing beings, deceased relatives, religious figures.
None. No beings whatsoever.
What about the brilliant light, the unearthly light people often talk about?
Also absent. No mention of any unusual light.
And this is maybe the biggest one for me, considering she's an intensive care doctor, someone analytical. Did she gain any special knowledge about God, the universe, meaning of life?
No. Nothing like that. That's a key finding here. The experience didn't grant her any instant cosmic insights, no new information about the afterlife or universal truths.
So the feeling, the peace, the unity was intensely real for her. She stands by that.
Absolutely. She believes the experience was real.
But the actual content, it didn't fundamentally change her existing beliefs. It was consistent with her Christian Catholic background.
Exactly. It didn't provide new universal revelations. It provided an overwhelming, indescribable feeling of, perhaps, destination or belonging, consistent with what she already believed. But not new information, if that makes sense.
It does. Feeling over fact, almost. Or feeling is the primary fact.
So that naturally leads to the next question, right? What was the long-term impact? Did knowing this incredible peace waited for her change her fear of death?
You'd think it might, wouldn't you? Especially for someone who deals with death professionally. But wait, she actually said her prior knowledge as a doctor had no influence on the experience itself.
That's what she reported, yes. It seems the raw physiological event and the resulting conscious experience kind of bypassed her professional conditioning entirely. They were separate domains.
Huh. Okay, so back to the impact. Did the peace eliminate fear?
And this is where her perspective as a physician gives us this really powerful, almost sobering counter-narrative. It's not the simple spiritual transformation story you sometimes hear.
Okay.
Despite knowing that piece, she notes a significant negative change in her life afterwards. She says she was never really a fearful person before all this started, but the continuing arrhythmia, the unpredictable nature of the heart condition itself that started to scare her profoundly each time it happened after those first two major episodes.
So the fear wasn't of the NDE state or death itself maybe, but of the sudden life-threatening onset of the cardiac event. The process, not the destination.
Precisely. The fear is before the moment of unconsciousness. Because the condition is so dangerous and unpredictable, it's the threat to life in the here and now.
And the condition did continue.
Yes. The source mentioned she had 2 more falls, later in 2018 and then again in 2020. And the defibrillator data showed these episodes were really short, like 13 seconds at most.
And during those short episodes, anything NDE-like?
Nothing. In those instances, she reported only experiencing overwhelming pure fear. That's it.
Wow. Okay, so let's map that out. She's had 4 total collapses, 4 syncopes.
That's right.
2 had NDE-like features. The first one dark and noisy, the second peaceful and unified.
Correct.
And the other 2, the shorter ones, were just fear, pure terror.
Exactly. And her own conclusion, very clinically reasoned, is that it wasn't the NDE, even the peaceful one, that ultimately forced her to change her life.
It was the disease.
It was the disease, the probable isolated cardiological sarcoidosis, as she suspects, this chronic inflammatory heart condition, this constant, unpredictable threat. That's what forced her to adapt.
How did she adapt?
She says she listens more to her body now, tries to live accordingly. She describes herself as not as adapted as before, meaning I think less able to just push through, more constrained by the physical reality of her illness.
So the life changes came from the harsh reality of the illness, not the, let's say, spiritual insight from the NDE.
That's her assessment.
Yeah.
The illness drove the practical changes. Hashtag tag outro.
Okay, so let's try to pull this together. What does this incredibly detailed, single-source deep dive really tell us?
Well, first, we have this highly articulate medical professional, someone deeply familiar with life and death, who experiences this state of profound peace during a cardiac arrest. That's remarkable in itself.
But then there's the twist. She attributes her life changes not primarily to that experience, but to the harsh, ongoing, fearful reality of the underlying disease.
Exactly. And we see this incredible stark contrast between the two main syncopes, darkness and internal noise versus indescribable joy and unity, both triggered by the exact same pathology.
It forces you to consider just how variable these experiences can be, right?
Yeah.
Maybe tiny physiological differences at the moment of collapse dictate the conscious experience.
It certainly pushes us in that direction. It suggests the brain's interpretation of that extreme physiological stress is highly variable and context-dependent, perhaps down to very fine-grained biological states we don't fully understand yet.
For Dr. F, clearly the most significant part subjectively was that incredible peace, that sense of arriving somewhere wonderful. But the lasting takeaway for you, the listener, might be this paradox she embodies, holding the knowledge of profound peace potentially awaiting at death.
While simultaneously living with the rational, persistent, and terrifying fear of the life-threatening condition causing it. It's a powerful tension.
Peace versus fear, destination versus journey.
And maybe the deeper question her account raises is this. If the same physical trauma can produce such radically different conscious states, darkness and light, chaos and peace, what does that truly tell us about the relationship between the brain, consciousness, and these extreme states? How much is physiology? How much is interpretation?
That is definitely a powerful thought to leave you with, something to mull over as you continue your own learning journey.
Indeed.
Thanks for diving deep with us today.
Thank you for listening to Borrowed Time NDE Podcasts. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you'll never miss a moment of inspiration. Until next time, wishing you an extraordinary and truly wonderful time on your journey through life.